topic about the lost colony of Roanoke and what I think happened to them. I've recently watched BuzzFeed Unsolved. I've been binge watching it, and the two guys, they were talking about the lost colony of Roanoke, and they gave 5 theories as to what they think happened to the lost colony. Now, I could do videos on my opinion on a ton of the episodes that they did. I decided to do this one because, I mean, come on, the theory has been around for hundreds upon hundreds of years, since 1587 when the colony went missing. So, I imagine most of the population, most of the world knows about, the lost colony of Roanoke and have their own theories as to what they think happened to them. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to give the 5 theories that BuzzFeed, Unsolved, the two guys, sorry, I'm going to give you the 5 theories as to what happened, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on whether or not I think these ideas or theories were possible. This video's a mess already. Theory number 1, the lost colony of Roanoke was murdered by a tribe of Native Americans. Theory number 2, that they met with a friendly group of Native Americans and assimilated, meaning they settled. Number 3, they moved inland, meaning they moved further into the country. Number 4, they were abducted by aliens. And number 5, a zombie plague. I know you're probably thinking the last 2 are ridiculous, but wait till you hear my theory. Well, wait till you hear the theory, and then maybe you'll be second guessing it. Number 1, murdered by Native Americans. I think this is probably the most plausible. I think in my opinion, in my head, this is the most likely thing that happened. John White leaves his people. He comes back 3 years later. The lost colony, they're gone. The only thing carved into the tree, the only thing that's there is a carving into the tree of the word Croatoan. Maybe that's where they went, but I think that what happened to the colony is that they moved. Maybe they moved, or maybe they were captured by Native Americans, killed, slaughtered, possibly even eaten. That's why my theory's better, because I had the possibility that they could have been eaten, because you don't know anything about Native American tribes around the world, or even here back in the day. Cannibalism could be just a normal act, back in the day, or even for these Indian tribes. So I think it's totally possible that they were captured, murdered, and possibly even eaten by Native Americans. I think that's absolutely what happened. I'd put my money on that one. Number 2, they joined a friendly Native American tribe and settled. I don't buy this one. For one thing, John White came back and his people were gone. Now, if his people settled with a friendly Native American group, wouldn't one of the 117 people, also children included, wouldn't they leave him a note? Like, yeah, okay, maybe they left him Croatoan in the tree, but that's not a good enough hint. How would he even know? I think that it's just, I don't know, I feel like somebody would have said, hey, shouldn't we let our leader know that we've returned? Or maybe after a while, maybe they thought he was never going to come back. Maybe that's possible. But I don't know, like, there's no trace, there's no evidence that, there's no evidence that they got slaughtered or murdered. But if they did, it would, maybe the Native Americans, cleaned up their tracks really well. But if they joined a friendly tribe and assimilated, there's no record of it. There's no record of, white people and Native Americans coming together, interacting. Like, I don't know. This wasn't like the first Thanksgiving, is my point. There's no evidence left to suggest that this happened. Kidnapping, murdering, and possibly resulting in cannibalism, to me, makes more sense, because there wouldn't be much evidence left over. Whereas if they settled with the Native Americans, surely there'd be evidence left behind, even hundreds upon hundreds of years later, which we are in now. So the second one, even though it's the nicest one, the most friendly one to think about, I just don't see it. The third one is that they moved inland. I think this is also possible, but again, maybe they thought, gee, maybe after a year and a half or 2 years, they thought, gee, John's probably not coming back for us. We should probably move on. And they moved on. But then again, if they moved inland, why, when John White came back, did he never think that, gee, maybe they moved inland, maybe they moved further into the country, I should look into this? And why didn't he then go into the country himself and try to find his people? Or why didn't he go back to his home, I think in England? Was it England? Yeah, let's settle on England. Why didn't he go back to England, tell them what happened to the lost colony, ask if he could send more people, and then they moved inland to see if the lost colony wasn't actually lost at all, but they were just further in. He never did that. So that's why I think that maybe, to me, this relies more on John White not checking to see if his people moved inland. They probably could have. But my other theory is that, my other thought, I should say, is that if they moved inland, why wouldn't they try to leave him a note? Maybe they did. Maybe that's what Croatoan meant, because Croatoan Island was below Roanoke. Maybe that's what Croatoan meant. But again, there's no theory to suggest that John White went to Croatoan. He went back to England and died 5 years later. He made no search for his people. If he did, it was small. No one ever, I don't know, nothing came of it. So it makes me think that he didn't really do much of a search. So to suggest that they moved inland, I think it's possible, but there's a lot of holes in that theory. Number 4, they were abducted by aliens. I know it's ridiculous, but just bear with me. The only possible explanation for alien abductions in this case is the fact that a ship came down, maybe put them all in like a line, and one by one they just started sucking them all up, abducting them on the ship. It's ridiculous, but it would explain why there was no evidence whatsoever to explain what happened to them. There was no trace of them. No trace of if something bad happened. No trace of if they just got up and left. There's nothing to suggest it. Alien abduction would probably explain that. As ridiculous as it is. Do I believe this to be a theory? Do I think this is possibly what happened? No. I believe in aliens. I believe in UFOs. But this is ridiculous even for me. So, with that being said, let's move on to the 5th one. A zombie plague. Again, I know it's ridiculous, but my theory makes a lot more sense than what you might be thinking. I don't think we're talking about a zombie plague in the sense of what we now know as Night of the Living Dead, The Walking Dead, or Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. No. I think a zombie plague in the sense of a virus, a disease that swept over the entire colony, and the people just became hysterical, berserk, lost their minds. They became deteriorating mentally, physically, and they attacked each other one by one until none of them were left. And then I bring in my cannibalism theory again, where I think they probably not even ate each other. If you think about that in the sense of what a zombie plague is, it's totally possible. With that being said, I'll go over the 5 theories, yes or no. Murdered by Native Americans, yes, possibility. Joined a friendly tribe, no. Moved inland, possibly, yes. Aliens abducted them, no. Zombie plague, yes, I think possible. If, again, you understand what a zombie plague would have been back in those days. and how it would have been treated. So again, nobody watched this video. One person watched for like 10 seconds. Anyways, I know people always watch this after the fact, and it's usually 3 people. Anyways, I gotta try to inform people more on these. But yeah, this is something different. I wanted to give it a try. I hope that when you watch this in the playback that you'll like it. Again, this was the 5 theories about what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke. If you have your own theory as to what you think happened that I didn't mention, please feel free to, DM me and let me know. Or if you have any thoughts about this video, or you want to speculate or give your own thoughts onto one of the 5 theories that I mentioned, again, feel free to DM me. I'm always up for discussion and some feedback. So yeah, until my next video, which who knows when it will be, take care.